Everybody thinks when you work in NIE as an apprentice, you're climbing up poles every day, but we do the opposite. We work underground.
What we do a lot of the time is change management. So we're trying to introduce a new idea, a new approach into the business, right from the idea stage through a trial and then out the other end to trying to transition that to business as usual activity.
It's probably the least dangerous job to do because there's so many strict rules and regulations that have to take place before anything gets done. And nobody thinks about electricity until there's a fault, and then you go, oh God, where is it now?
Welcome to Workplus, the podcast that shines a light on the people doing good work across Northern Ireland. I'm your host, Richard Kirk, founder of Workplus. I've spent years working with employers, schools, colleges and universities, helping young people and career changers to make better informed career decisions. Each week, I sit down with real people doing real jobs to explore how they got there, what they've learned, and why their work matters. If you're a parent, teacher, carer, or just curious about what good work looks like today, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Joel, Sinead, it's brilliant to have you with us today in the studio. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We're really interested in hearing about career journeys, about how you got to where you are today. So maybe Joel, I'll start with you. First of all, what were the subjects that you enjoyed most at school?
I think I always knew I was going to do something kind of technical, and my subject kind of led me there. So as long as I can remember, I was interested in kind of physics and maths and that type of thing. Wasn't always amazing at them, but enjoyed them nonetheless. So kind of not drifted through, but picked the stuff that was natural to me. So maths, physics, chemistry, that type of subject. And then quickly realized that, biology, chemistry in the end weren't really for me. And then ended up pursuing sort of maths, physics, geography through to A levels. So really enjoyed those sort of problem solving subjects. And then geography as well, I suppose, is really a kind of, you think of the kind of traditional map and diagrams, and that's kind of translated into some of the work that I do now.
Yeah, great, Joel. Great. Sinead, what about you then? What were the things that you let the fire under you whenever you were at school?
Well, in school, I was sort of similar to Joel, sort of went down the sciencey, mathsy route. A levels, does business studies as well, so sort of similar. And then always sort of knew I wanted to do an apprenticeship sort of role. So applied to other apprenticeships when I was younger, in 16, but left school and then sort of just did other stuff, had different careers, and then sort of just went on to apply for an apprenticeship when I was older. So,
oh, good, okay.
But sort of the same stroll, sort of the science mathsy route, sort of A level way. But then I did different route then to get me into NIE.
Great. It's interesting you saying there about the subjects you didn't like biology, and it's like, some people might say, oh, that's not great, but actually it's a good thing to work out the things that, especially at GCSEs, you're doing so many subjects and actually you probably maybe don't really enjoy the majority of them. So in school then, were you also involved in other things? Were you doing other things, clubs, or did you have a part-time job? Or tell us a bit about that.
Did a few bits and pieces, was involved in bits and pieces of sport. Sort of tried football and rugby throughout and still play a bit of football, but was involved in a range of different things, and then didn't really do part-time work during school, but kind of did then during the summer. So I worked in a fruit and vegetable shop in Banbridge. There's one Banbridge and one Portadown. So I worked there for a period of time too, which was sort of exposure to the public and exposure to working, I suppose, and it gives you a bit of experience of a kind of day-to-day and how work is. I suppose.
Yeah. What were some of the skills that you learned there that you can apply today? Even?
Negotiation, maybe in some ways, but I think it is more so actually you're representing somebody who owns a business, and I think that was a really important thing to learn. The guy who owned it sort of entrusted you with running the shop a lot of the time. You were one person there, so actually stepping up and taking responsibility that actually, okay, there's standards to be held here, and this is how we should treat people, and this is how you operate and sort of deal with the public. Because as much as I was there for 1, 2, 3 summers, that business was there for a longer number of years, and they had a reputation to preserve.
Good. Was there any formal work experience you did at school?
Yeah,
as well?
I did a sort of a 3-day sort of placement, and it was with JW Kane, which I believe has now been taken over, but they made like precision aerospace parts.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. They were very patient with me and explained all of the various bits and pieces that they did. It was really sort of computer aided design, so sort of metal fabrication, and great 3 days, but I knew it wasn't for me. And that was a really important thing to rule out at that stage.
Yeah, that's good.
Because a lot of my friends from school did sort of mechanical or other types of engineering. and it would have been very easy just to continue and go down that route. But that 3 days sort of told me that was good for us, an experience to see, but in terms of dedicating 20, 30 years to it as a career, I knew at that point that really wasn't for me.
What was it about it that closed that door? Because you enjoyed your sciences, you got maths as well, like the problem solving bit. You're doing an engineering role now. That is a type of engineering. So how did you make the decision?
I think for me, it was all very well making a part, but I wanted to see the bigger picture, which is kind of what I get from work now. I didn't just want to make the part. I wanted to see that this is where it fitted in, and this is how the systems that operated around it all fitted together. And I think then electrical engineering was more sort of suited to that, rather than just being sort of micro-focused on making this one part really, really well.
Yeah. So even at the age of were you 16, 17?
Yeah.
You could see that? Okay, great. Sinead, you said you left school when you were 16. Did you have a part-time job at that point, or any work experience when you were in school? Or?
Well, yeah, I left school and I went on to tech as well, so I was still in education right up until I was 25. I was doing all different courses, but as well, I worked in NICS in town. It was part-time, so I worked there from I was 16. Actually, still worked there for when it started in NIE in 2018. I worked right up for 2 years while I was doing both jobs, just because it was an apprenticeship as well. So it was still low wages.
Discount as well.
Discount,
It's always good.
Yeah. So yes, I worked there for 10 years in NICS as well as doing my courses as well. So I did an access to university in biomedical science, and then also studied social work for 3 months, but then it was a totally different path than I do now, but it sort of was not for me. And then sort of left. I had a wee girl by then, so I sort of was a bit too close to home, the social work knowing, and so then I went back then to the apprenticeship route. I was then a classroom assistant at that time. So
wow. So you access to biomedical sciences, social care, and the classroom assistant.
Well, I only did social care for 3 months, but then I quickly ruled that out that it wasn't for me, because I had my wee girl and it sort of wasn't really the right time, to have a young child in the house and study social work. I just felt I just would have brought a lot of work home with me, as I'm sure social workers probably do. And then when I was doing classroom assistant, the kids were applying for NIE, and so I applied as well, and that's how I got into NIE. But to answer your question, yes, it did a lot of different things.
You've pushed different doors, and then you've worked out which ones you didn't want to go through. I thought that's good as well. That's good. That's good. So when did you end up applying for NIE? How did that all come about, apprenticeship?
As I said then, so the kids in the school were applying during the careers, and I had sort of I had applied for Bombardier when I was younger, when I was 16. So I sort of always had it back in my head that I would maybe like to go back, apprenticeship sort of route. And then when the kids were looking at it, I was like, God, I wonder, could I do this now? And so I just put my application form through and got the interview, and then just got in. I was cable jointing, I did the apprentice cable jointing. So I said, I'll give it a go. If not, I can fall back on the classroom assistant. My job was always going to be there. So I did the thing and I loved it.
Brilliant. I'm sure in all NIE's grand plans about how to attract applicants, they maybe weren't thinking about that, but that's a brilliant way to draw new people in.
So I was a bit older then, so I was 26 when I applied, so a bit older apprenticeship, apprentice. There was 2 other guys in my year group that were a bit older as well, so it was a good mix, and there was also 2 other females as well, so 3 older students and 3 females, so it was a good mix out for the cable jointers.
Brilliant. So cable jointing.
Yes.
For the person on the street, for our listeners, what is that all about?
So it's working with the underground systems. So obviously familiar. Everybody thinks when you work in NIE as an apprentice, you're climbing up poles every day, but we do the opposite. We work underground. So the electricity network runs underneath the ground, and then they obviously have to be joined together at one point. So that's what a cable jointer does.
Sounds dangerous. Yeah.
Oh, well, no, not if you follow all the rules and procedures. There's strict ways of working, strict PPE, everything. It's probably the least dangerous job to do, because there's so many strict rules and regulations that have to take place before anything gets done. So therefore, if you follow everything step by step, which everybody does, there's very minimal risk.
That's so important though, because we rely on that every day. The lights in this room and everything.
Something you never ever think about until it's not there. That's what I always think about. Keep the lights on. And nobody thinks about electricity until there's a fault, and then you go, oh God, where is it now? Then that's when we're phoned.
Well, as I was going to say, you're like an emergency response unit as well.
my role's a bit different now. So I did what's called an apprentice to graduate program within NIE Networks. So they actually supported me to go through university. And then I did that. So now I do electrical engineering as a job.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So you did your degree after you did your apprenticeship then?
Yes.
So what was your degree in?
Electrical engineering.
Great.
To Queen's. So NIE supported me and funded me to go to university, give me the time off. So I just had to work in the summer as an engineer in different departments around NIE, just to sort NIE Networks to sort of see where I was going to be placed afterwards. And then I got a chance to do my SAP, so it's a senior authorised person training course. And then so I switch on the network and work with high voltage, so switch on the high voltage network to turn it off for safe working every day for people like me that used to be a cable jointer or overhead lines person.
Well, that's brilliant that you know the responsibility.
Yes.
And you're as a cable jointer, you're relying on that person.
Yes.
Knowing how it all fits together.
Mm.
Oh, that's great. It's brilliant to hear the way you've come into the organisation, all the opportunities you've had since.
Yeah, they've been a great support, for me as a person and the whole training department and the whole NIE Networks as a whole. It is a really good place to work for, and the support and the various roles that you can take
Fantastic.
once you get in.
Brilliant. Joel, tell us a bit about how you made your way into NIE then. Was it a similar process? Were you a classroom assistant that was listening in on a careers talk?
It was actually at the back of a classroom. One day, I don't know how out of date the literature was, but I picked up like a Queen's brochure for engineering and literally just started flicking through it and read through mechanical, chemical, aerospace engineering. Wasn't for me. And it was really simple. It was just curiosity. Got to the electrical and the electronic engineering page and sort of Googled a few things that were on it. I was like, yeah, I could do that. That's what I want to do, sort of thing. Mm. So really didn't think too much about it. Put it down in my uni choices and went through the same course at Queen's. And through that, I suppose I didn't really know that I wanted to work in electricity or utilities at that stage. I just knew there's something here that I might enjoy doing in the future. And then I went on placement during uni, and I think it was in my third year, to SONI, who are the system operator for Northern Ireland. So they dispatch all the generation on the system. And within a few weeks there, I was fairly sure that this was for me. I think I had a really great experience there. Lots of people took time to sort of explain things to me and deal with all my stupid questions really early on. But I think then I knew this is for me, because there were so many different areas, even within utilities and electricity as well, that were interesting and you can spend a lifetime doing. So I think that was what really drew me into it. Following that, then finished off the course at Queen's, and then coming out of that, just applied for a job at NIE on the network innovation team.
Great.
God, yeah. So the rest is history, I suppose.
So network innovation. So tell us about what does that actually entail then?
So to set a wee bit of context around that, the network innovation team sits in a wider team that is called network development. And that team are responsible for looking at where the network needs to be upgraded, be that swapping out transformers or changing lines and cables. So from sort of wider refurb schemes like the big network rebuild that you maybe seen a few campaigns about or things in the media about. So things like that, and then sort of smaller scale projects as well. But they also have the responsibility of working out where and when heat pumps, EVs are going to appear in the network so that we can then understand the impact of that.
Right.
So it's all very well saying that there's going to be X number of EVs, but how and where?
The electric vehicles. So you're trying to anticipate.
Trying to anticipate that.
Who are going to buy electric vehicles and where they're going to buy.
Where they're going to
replace.
Yeah, where the issues are going to appear in the network. And I suppose where the innovation team comes into that is all of that additional demand is going to put pressure on the system potentially. And there's a lot of work in replacing lines and cables. And I suppose what we're aiming to do is to test different approaches. So like new technologies or new ways of managing the network that mean we don't have to replace old for new in absolutely every case. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's actually being able to say, look, okay, we have a different scheme that we can use here other than just simply replacing that or upgrading that. Yeah. And one of those things, as an example, is what's called flexibility services. So on the face of it, it's very simple. We sort of engage with customers who can adjust their demand or generation to alleviate stress in the network.
So these would these be individual households, or would it be also like factories and things like that as well?
Technically, it could be either. At the minute, it's mainly sort of businesses and factories, sort of larger scale users. So we would engage with them and be able to kind of manage the network better based on that.
Okay, great. So you've got this really valuable asset that we have, like it's probably worth billions, and you're trying to make sure that we're using it as well as we can in the future, not replacing where we don't have to, essentially.
Yeah, essentially. And there's a lot of work to do. We still need to replace lots and lots of cable, lots of transformers. But it's about being able to manage that delivery in a better way so that we can be more targeted in where we're reinforcing the network. Yeah. Ultimately sort of delivering what we're all about, and that is meeting the energy needs of Northern Ireland, but delivering that in a sustainable way and delivering that for everyone, I suppose.
So there's that sense of allowing people to have electricity, but reducing the burden on carbon emissions and things like that as well.
Yeah, it's trying to facilitate all sorts of technologies that allow people to transition from some fossil fuels onto sort of cleaner technologies. So I suppose being able to facilitate that as best we can on the network is key.
Great. You talked about the roles that you're doing. Tell us a bit about the skills that you need every day to do your job. You talked about being a cable jointer. Now you're in this role, thinking about HV, high voltage. Tell us a bit about skills that you need.
Oh, there's... if anybody could be inside my brain, wouldn't want to be. On a day-to-day basis, communication is key. Knowing, working with your teams, working together, working with everybody, even working with like the Joel's department. He says he looks at innovation in that way, but I'm actually working on replacing, like my role is secondary asset replacement engineer. So we're actually replacing the assets every day. So it's communication between different teams within the business as well as on site. So different men on the ground, working with jobs going on around the country. So making sure that we're all working together, that we're just touching the network once. So communication would be a big one. Problem solving then as well. So day to day, there might be issues up here, or then even just as a whole, like maybe just problem solving around how to get the job done before anticipating any problems that may incur, and then working around them before they actually land on my desk. Safety is a big thing as well. So working to the safety rules.
Yeah. And what about are you making those decisions, solving those problems by yourself then, or are you part of like a...
Well, that's as well. Communication, a wider team.
A wider team, yeah.
And sometimes by myself as well, but again, communication, being able to lift the phone to anybody, that you can and who do you think's going to solve it. Like I could be working with Joel's department, saying this here needs replaced, who's got it on your list? Or it could be the simple thing of, we haven't got something on site, can you bring it out to me? It could be anything. Could be a range of different things.
Yeah. So there's the technical ability that you need that you've gained, but actually a lot of what you're doing are things that most people will have. Those communication, teamwork, skills, problem solving,
and then as well, then just your technical stuff. So how to do your job, and then safety as well, just following the rules.
Yeah.
That would be.
Joel, how does that work for you in your role? Then, are there any additional skills that you bring to things in your team?
I think what we do a lot of the time is change management. So we're trying to introduce a new idea, a new approach into the business, right from the idea stage through a trial and then out the other end to trying to transition that to business as usual activity. So one of the things probably that's key you said about communication is that people on the ground understand the benefits of what we're trying to do, and that we can communicate that really clearly. But there's also a kind of a technical understanding there that underpins everything, knowing the impacts of your work and how it affects people on site, or how it affects policy or whatever else it may be. So there's a lot of considerations through that because it's completely new. You're trying to sort of change areas of the business that have maybe done something in a particular way for a long time. So it's challenging. So I would say like resilience is probably a key one, being adaptable. The project will not look exactly how you thought it would look. And that's okay, because then the project has evolved to the needs of the business as you've taken on all the feedback. So being able to take on board all of that is really, really key.
Yeah. So those are things you maybe don't have as a module whenever you're studying.
No,
electrical engineering, but these are the skills that you need to develop. It's brilliant to see that opportunity you've got there. When we think about the energy system changing and net zero, do you think there are new things that you think you're going to have to learn over the next couple of years to try and help the system adapt to net zero?
One of the key things, and it comes under communication really, is being able to try and engage customers and other utilities and understand each other's problems, issues, opportunities, trying to explain things in a language that everybody can understand really, and trying to really communicate some of the complexity of what we're trying to do with what the outcome needs to be, particularly if customers are responding and turning up demand generation based on signals from us. So I think that on a communication piece there is really, really key. One of the other things I suppose that's cropping up is around data and data analytics. So actually working out the quality of the data you have and then being able to make decisions from that, and as well as the process of actually doing that, which has come on and changed really in the past 10 or 15 years compared to the very, very basic Excel kind of skills that would have been sort of commonplace.
Yeah. So it's always moving, and you're having to respond to those things as well. That's good. Okay, going to ask you a question, which is speaking to your 16-year-old self, Sinead, what advice would you give to her if she was in the room?
Just trust your instincts, and just always, everything in my life has brought me to where I am now. Even when I was a classroom assistant, if I didn't take on that job, I wouldn't have been sitting here where I am now, because I just go with your gut and just go with the flow and just enjoy it.
Good.
Because you're going to get there eventually and
Yeah.
have a job that you really love.
Through all those experiences.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Joel, what about you? What would you say to your 16-year-old self?
I don't think I would change too much, because I think I followed the path that I wanted to, and it's worked out for me. But I would probably say maybe enjoy the learning process a bit more. I was very focused on exams and studying as a means, sort of a means to an end. Let's get this done. Actually, I think I would probably take a step back and maybe enjoy that a bit more, maybe ask more questions, and probably try to get a bit more out of it, because I was stuck in the kind of learning to pass exams. And now that I'm working, I find myself asking questions all the time, trying to learn new stuff all the time. And once you get an area it's great, but actually taking that back, and maybe I would have got more out of it back then. But I think another thing that I would probably think about is actually once you're out of school, or once you've completed a uni course, that's not you stuck for life in a job. Even within NIE Networks, there's a lot of opportunity to pivot and change, and lots of people have had lots of different roles of various levels throughout the years, and they maybe started somewhere and ended up somewhere completely different. So
Great.
There's a lot of opportunity to train and to develop as part of a career in NIE Networks.
Yeah, that's great. Super. We've talked about both the jobs that you're doing and the jobs you've done in the past, but kind of raising up a level just to think about work in general. Last question we ask all our guests. Sinead, what's so good about work for you?
I just love the variety. No day's the same for me. This morning I was out on a HV shutdown in Mollusk. Today and now I'm sitting on a podcast. Everything is different. And just I love the variety of working out in site one day, then going to the office the next, and then being out in a team meeting or a brief, and maybe a community forum, just to work with the local residents. So no day's the same, and just enjoy it. And
great, brilliant. So there's brilliant variety there. Yeah.
That's the best thing it is, and as well the opportunities within NIE Networks. You can be anywhere. I started as a cable jointer, now I'm an electrical engineer. It's just the possibilities are endless within the company. I could move departments, within a couple of weeks or a year or two. The possibilities are endless within the company, and I just enjoy it. And
Great. Thank you. Joel, you've had time to think about this question because Sinead gave such a good answer.
I was going to say variety too, to be honest. And I think that's something that's across a lot of roles in the company. But I think it's quite simple for me. I just enjoy what I do. I think I'm just interested in electricity networks and similar things. It's as simple as that. But I think on a day-to-day basis, it's kind of the teamwork, and actually you're never really isolated on your own. You can work together to solve problems. And I think one of the novel things is those problems are rarely the same. I think when I came in 4 or 5 years ago, the problems I'm solving now aren't exactly the same.
Yeah.
They may be in a similar topic, but it's not the same thing that you're doing, and sort of the industry constantly evolves as well as maybe what your specific role in it is.
Brilliant. Well, thank you both for taking the time out of your very busy day. On behalf of the population of Northern Ireland, thank you for all the work that you're doing. We know that you're often unsung heroes and do so much to provide energy for us each day. So wish you all the best in your careers. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks for tuning in to Workplus. If today's story gave you fresh perspective or helped you rethink what's possible, leave us a review on your favourite podcast platform or hit like and subscribe. It really does make a big difference. For more stories, resources, and tools to help guide the next generation, visit workplus.app. Until next time.